All right. Welcome to Friday training. Every Friday we're here. If you or your friends, family, or associates miss it, it's always replayed on the Playbook. Every Monday, you can check out this training and many other trainings. Today, we are going to talk about the margins of millionaires. That's where the millions are made by learning how to buy low and sell high. If you have any questions, go ahead and put it in the Q&A box. I'll be handling about 30 minutes of questions, as you know, every Friday here. Next Friday is BYOQ. Also, if you want the replay, if you want the guide on buying low and selling high, the exercise on buying low or selling high, or you need anything at all you got to do is email me, david@dmeltzer.com. That'll be in the notes as well. Or join my text community, 949-298-2905. So excited to get started. This is one of my favorite trainings that I do. And the first thing about buying low and selling high and creating the margins of millionaires is to understand that not only do people buy on emotion for logical reasons, they sell on emotions for logical reasons and or justifications. And so when we know that the emotions are really involved in the margins of millionaires, we want to make sure that we as buyers and sellers take our emotion out and align with other people's emotions and make sure that we maximize the value of what we're buying as well as maximize the value of what we're selling. You don't got to be at the bottom, you don't got to be at the top, but if you're selling when things are oversold and buying when things are overbought, man, you are going to make a killing no matter what the time is. More millionaires are made during challenging times, during accelerated growth than ever. That's why I wanted to do this. There's so many opportunities out there. I'm going to give you specific examples, and don't forget, put your questions in the Q&A down below so I can answer those for you. So if emotions are involved in buying and selling, what dictates our emotions? Well, there's two things that dictate our emotions in that flow. And number one is time, right? Time can create a compelling event. It can create a sense of urgency. It's a scarce event, and you need to master time. If you're going to buy low and sell high, you're going to have to master time and take it out of the equation and put it into the other party's equation. The second, as always, is values. Values and time dictate the emotions that are involved in buying and selling. And so we need to make sure that we're experts at time and the value in order to dictate the emotional response that we're looking for, that people will agree to either sell to us or buy from us. So in order to figure out time, one of the most interesting things is we have to do a time and risk assessment as our most important criteria when buying or selling. We need to understand what is the timing of this opportunity and what risk level am I willing to endure. If you're not considering time and risk assessment in all your buying and selling activities that are significant, right? Because we don't want to waste our time, emotion, and energy when we go to buy a lollipop. But when we're doing significant purchases, ones that make more money, help more people, and allow us to be happier, significant purchases like houses and cars and business-oriented purchases and multiple quantifiable quantity purchases, we want to make sure that we are doing a timing and risk assessment for all of those. And in order to do that, one of my favorite rules in life is what? Take inventory of your values every single day. You need to look through, in order to do a correct time and risk assessment, what are my personal values? According to what? This purchase or this sale. What are my experiential values? And we're going to go and give examples of these. What are my giving values, right? How much am I willing to give in this deal? And fourth, the receiving values. What is my bottom line? And guess what? You have to do that assessment every day. So after you indicate what your time and risk tolerance is, you then need to do a value assessment. So we have now analyzed the two most emotionally attached things in the buying and selling process, time and emotion, right? Time and value. Time is indicated simply by utilizing how long it's going to take, and value then accordingly is what's my bottom line according to my personal experiential giving and receiving values. What is my bottom line of not just selling, but buying, right? What is my bottom line of buying? What is that price that I'm willing to walk away? And you'll see that when we determine what time, emotion, and value is determinative. If you do a time and risk assessment, you'll see there's two different worlds in the world of buying and selling. It's the scarce world, where there's not enough of anything or just enough of everything. And then there's the abundant world. If you can extract your emotions and buy and sell within the context that there's more than enough of everything for everyone, you're going to exponentially take advantage of the margins of millionaires. You're exponentially going to be able to create the ability to buy when other people are oversold and sell when people are overbought, because they're buying on emotion in a scarce world where there's not another buyer. Oh my gosh, there's never going to be another price. This is the only house. This is my dream house. If I don't get it, there will never be another house. So many different times people take away the true value by living in a scarce world of not enough or just enough. You need to have a mindset that there's more than enough buyers, sellers, properties, assets, that there's always another deal. That has to be a given when you're doing your time and value assessment, your time and risk assessment as well. So let's start as a buyer seller. What do we want to do as a buy and sell is time is running out. Who benefits when time is running out? The seller, right? The seller benefits if time is running out. Time is running out. Sorry, you got to buy it yesterday. The sale ends, whatever it may be. It's a compelling event. But if it doesn't sell, right, time running out then loses all the value for the seller as well. Secondly, there's someone or something else or even better out there. These two questions are definitely dictated by your mindset of scarcity or abundance. And so in an abundant world, time is never running out. You have plenty of time to sell and plenty of time to buy. And in an abundant world, there's always something better or something else that you could buy or sell to. So you've got to know and make sure that you are continually utilizing an abundant mindset when we buy and sell. Let me give you the first example. If you are going to, for example, purchase a rental property, an investment property, what we, number one, always want to do is determine the outcome first. So many people leave independent and dependent variables, subjective variables, all unattended, and then wonder why things go astray or get messy, or they lose track of the value and allow their emotions to take over, feel frustrated, angry, stressed, in a sense of urgency. Well, it won't happen if you reverse engineer. So if I'm going to buy an investment property, a rental property, what I do is I go find a rental broker or agent, and I ask, please take me to the best area as a renter, the most sought after area, the hardest place to rent. And usually the rental broker agent is like, really? I go, I don't care what the cost. I'm one of those customers. I don't care what it costs. I want to live in the hottest market. And so that rental agent will take you around and show you where, when something goes on the market, it's rented within a day. Why? Because I want to buy that property, right? The value of that property is much greater than a property that doesn't certainly rent if I'm looking at a rental investment. So I go ahead then and understand what the rental market is, what those rent for. Now I know my bottom line. I know where my break-even point is. So I don't care about price. Let's, for example, to keep the numbers easy, let's say that the hottest market in downtown San Diego is $10,000 a month for a property, a rental property, and that property rents within a day when it comes to the market. So now I know that I want to make sure that my upkeep, payment, insurance, all the different costs are going to be $10,000 or less, because if I can break even on a rental investment, I win, because I'm paying down that, I have tax benefits, I have all types of different opportunities that come from it. I know and am confident that every dollar below $10,000 a month, a payment, not a price, right? So many people get caught up when they're buying properties. Oh, this price or that price. No, you're buying a payment. You're buying a payment. Trust me, with interest rates at 2.5% today, if interest rates went up to 5%, your payment would almost be double, even if the price was the same. So always think payment, not price. And reverse engineer, be the buyer that you want to sell to. Be the buyer that you want to sell to, reverse engineer that, and you will be able to control the timing, the risk tolerance, the time, and the value that you're looking for. You will consistently create the margins of millionaires. You'll be able to buy those properties. Although everyone thinks it's high, you'll be buying it when it's low. You'll be creating those margins because you know that it rents out. It's very, very important, those lessons that we have. Know your now. Reverse engineer everything, become the customer that you want. And then two, know your math. Know the quantitative versus subjective or perceived value of a property, right? Because if you know the perceived value, location is a perceived value. If you know the perceived value that it has a pretty bathroom or somebody, these perceived values. I had a friend, he only gave gifts of perceived value, things that he bought at 90% off, and then only asked for real value back, right? Cash, minerals, things like that. Creating margins of millionaires simply by understanding the difference between quantitative and subjective value. I'm wearing purple today, so I got to remember what happens when we have subjective values. You're nothing but a purple dinosaur, right? You don't want to be Barney, right? Subjective value, I love you, you love me, nobody makes any money in this property, that's for sure, when you have subjective value. So make sure that you quantitatively do the math and reverse engineer what you need. All right, do that. Next example, the cookie jar example, stocks. I was a victim of this. I had a cookie jar mentality. I assigned a definition and an understanding and a meaning to my money. I'm saving for a house. This is my cookie jar for a house. Oh, I have this opportunity. I got to start another cookie jar. No, no, no. Money is an energy. It's an object of energy that we put into the flow to get what we want. And if we blend it with the other object of energy that we put into the flow, faith, we end up having more for less. We end up having an abundant attitude. So the story that my dad, who was in real estate, used to tell me is don't use a cookie jar, right? Because money is fluid. It's like grease, like my Uncle Larry always said as well. But my Uncle Larry would say, don't be a tube. I love this saying, don't be a tube. And I would always puzzle, like, what does he mean, don't be a tube? He said, most people in the world, when it comes to investment and making money and understanding the margins of millionaires, they're tubes. Don't be a tube. Don't live hand to mouth, right? If you're just a tube, all you're concerned about is putting food in your mouth and letting it go out the other side of your tube. Don't be a tube. Expand, grow, accelerate, learn lessons, find mentorship, ask for help, especially when it comes to buying low and selling high. Reverse engineer, know your math, know the quantitative value. Do not put things in a cookie jar. Do not allow the money to flow. It's like grease. Allow it to be used in multiple ways and quantitatively figure out what's the best use of my money. I'll give you an example with stocks. I got caught in this game all the time. Buy a stock, goes way up, right? Let's say I buy a stock at $50. It went to $100. Now, never did I have a plan. I didn't reverse engineer. I didn't quantitatively say that when I doubled in this amount of time, I would sell this much of it, which is what you're supposed to do. But then invariably, the stock went from $100 all the way down to $25. And then I tell myself, well, I'm going to wait until I get back up to 50 and sell it. Why? I'm playing the cookie jar mentality. Why not? If the stock is not good, statistically, it's probably not going to take, it's going to take a long time to get back to even, right? If a stock just got crushed from 100 down to 25, right? Why not look and see where you could move that stock, take the loss, and buy something that will go up faster than the stock that you own? It's not in a cookie jar. It's fluid. It's like grease. You should constantly be looking quantitatively, where's the best place to put my money according to what? Your timing, your value, and your risk assessment in an abundant universe. So many times people hold on to stocks because they have no plan and they're playing on emotion, because people buy on emotion for logical reasons, sell on emotion for logical reasons, and justify what they do and create losses for themselves without even knowing it, because they have no inventory of their timing, their value, or their risk assessment. All three are utilized. They haven't reversed engineered. When I buy a stock, I know exactly what's going to happen to it, meaning I know if it stays the same, this is how long I'm going to own it. If it goes up this percentage, this is how much I'm going to sell. If it goes down this percentage, I know this is the time that I'm going to start looking to transfer it, take the loss, and find something that's going to move up faster than what I own, or comparatively analyze it to see if what I'm going to buy is going to comparatively move up faster than what I own. So many people use a cookie jar mentality. So many people are living their lives like a tube. In, out, in, out. Don't be a tube. Quantifiably Understand what you're doing, live your life, make more money, help more people, enjoy yourself, have and be happy. You don't have to be a tube. You can use this mechanism to buy low and sell high, to take your emotions out of it. No need for justification, just accountability. What did I do to attract this profit, and what am I supposed to learn from it? One of the fun things that I do is work with my children. I have taken 1 day a weekend with my son, and we go, he's 10 years old, and he's probably making more money than half the people I coach. But we together, we go ahead and in our neighborhood, look to see garage sales, yard sales, etc. And what we'll do is we'll go out at the very beginning and we'll look over all maybe 3 to 5 homes. And it takes maybe a half an hour to an hour. And he picks out things that he thinks will sell online. And I pick out things that I think will sell online. Then we go home and we look them up. And we look up not only what are they selling for, but how fast they're selling, right? So for example, home gym equipment is selling for like 5 to 10 times its normal rate and very quickly. And so we'll mark down, the 5 houses we've been to, the items that we know, how much they sell, how fast they sell. And then we allow the understanding of scarcity and emotion to come into play. Because about 10 minutes before they're closing the yard sales or garage sales, my son and I swing by together and he flashes those beautiful brown eyes of his and his cute stuff. And he's like, oh, Dad, I really want to get that C2 concept rower. I'd like to have that. I'm like, oh, that's too expensive, buddy. I'm sorry. And then they're like, well, why don't you just take it? Or how much will you give me? And we already know that those are $900 retail, $3,500 they're selling for right now because of the shortage of home equipment. We already know all that. We know that they sell instantly online, right? And we're like, oh, okay. Well, can you give it to them? No, but give me an offer. How about $10? Because why? That person already has made the emotional decision. They do not want it in their home. And the last thing they want to do is have to go carry it back into their home to clog up their garage, their bedroom, their workout facility, whatever it is. They've already made that decision. And so we're like, oh, sorry, buddy, we have to go, wait, right? We're using time, emotion, value, risk assessment, and we've guaranteed our profit. We've guaranteed it because we reverse engineered quantitatively what it's worth and how fast it will sell, right? We're going and utilizing the walk away to get that lowest sale and also provide a service or value to them, because in the truth, they don't need the money. They really want to get rid of it. How many times do people put things for sale and then end up giving them away because they just wanted to get rid of it? So many times. We created a business, thousands of dollars a month created simply by reverse engineering quantitatively and showing up with time on our side because they don't want to put it back in their garage or their home. And we know exactly what it sells for. That's exactly what you want to do. Anybody can do this. Anybody. You just have to be more interested than interesting and spend a little bit amount of time. My son will pay for his college from walking around and having fun with his dad on the weekend, since they canceled most of the sports anyway. We're going ahead and helping other people, clearing out their garages and their houses, creating an economic education, something that's truly valuable for my son, and spending father and son time with him and giving him inspiration on how to buy low and sell high. I'm creating an education of margins of millionaires for the 10-year-old, right? Making amazing amount of fun with it. All right, next example, car example. A lot of you have seen the car video and a lot of questions were raised by a car video. Cars are the easiest because you don't have to leave your desk. There are so many different car sites that you can go ahead and start with any amount of money and go ahead and 3 times that amount of money, you're at $3,000 or $2,002, whatever profit you want to make, reverse engineer that, and go ahead and look and see what cars sell the fastest at, for example, $3,000, right? You'll get a list of those cars, what year, what model, what color. You'll see what cars sell the fastest at $3,000. Then look up those cars on all the different sites and start offering $1,000 for them. Tell them I need to buy it today. I'll give you $1,000. Now, you have to have thick skin. You can't look for approval of everyone and to be liked by everyone, because you will get people back that say, you're annoying me. That's rude. How dare you? You're insulting me. I'm like, you don't know me. I didn't insult you. I offered you a price. You have no need to be offended. But there's always that 1 out of 50, 1 out of 100 that $1,000 the value that they want, and they can't wait because time is on your side and you're offering them money immediately. Boom, buy that car. You now sell that car for 3,000, maybe jump it to six, 6 to 9, 9 to 12. You can keep on bouncing them up $3,000, reverse engineer it. And you could do that with a ton of different products. I personally like and enjoy cars. I enjoy the idea and get to drive them for a couple of weeks and sell them. I enjoy that process myself. That's how I got involved with it and created a video about it too. Stick to your plan though. I will tell you, when people ask me what the biggest mistake of 2020 that I made is that I got, just like when I was young, I got too good at buying and selling houses and I jumped off of my plan. Once again, my ego got in my way, my own greed got in my way, and I ended up with a car that was way better than the car I normally drove. My kids liked the car, and I ended up losing money. I went completely off plan, and with COVID and repairs, and I let my ego get in the way. It was a disaster. So even the best of us screw up. If you have a plan, keep your emotions out of it. Stick to the time and the value, because those dictate the emotions. Make sure you have timing and risk assessment. Do not listen to your teenage daughters how cool the car is that you have built up all the time over 6, 7 months, from $1,000 all the way up to a really cool car, just to have it almost fall completely apart. I think with the amount of time, emotion, and energy that I ended up putting into it, I lost money for sure. Which is not my plan, right? I'm teaching buying and selling low. Sometimes I get to use myself as a bad example, use my dummy tax so that you don't have to pay it. How nice would it be if someone came around going, hey, your federal and state taxes, I'll pay those for you. Well, that's what Uncle David's doing for you today. He's giving you the dummy tax, which is far more than state or federal taxes. So you don't need to worry about that. So when we're buying cars, there's multitudes and multitudes of cars. All you got to do is reverse engineer the cars that sell the fastest at what price, and go ahead and lowball offer to those, and you'll find someone that does. And guess what? Until you do, you haven't lost any money. You can send out your offers every day. There's so many different sites, so many different people. The worst thing someone could say is no. Next example. One of my favorite examples is the Dave and Buster's example. I did Dave Meltzer Day at Angel Stadium with our Meltzer mission, powering over 1 billion people to be happy, on the scoreboards in the front marquee at Angel Stadium. And I got Dave and Buster's to give a $25 gift card for games in Dave and Buster's. So everybody that came to the stadium that day, however many thousands of people, they got a Dave and Buster's gift card for $25. You could buy a $5 ticket and get a $25 gift card. I mean, where's the ROI in that? So great idea, right? Well, I thought, what a great idea it was. I'm going to take all 4 of my kids and all their friends to Dave and Buster's because I have all these $25 gift cards. And I'm thinking, gosh, not only did I have a great Dave Meltzer gift night at Angel Stadium, this great virtual gift night, but more importantly, I'm taking my family and all their friends, and it's going to be free. Well, nothing is free is the last lesson, because I ended up taking my girls and their friends, and then their parents came to pick them up or to hang out. And I think, those free gift cards cost me about a $2,500 food and bar bill. And meanwhile, all I got was something that had no value, right? Games that cost them nothing for plays of all those kids. I paid for them. Remember, quantitatively, don't be a Barney. Barneys get things for free. Barneys believe in free. Subjective value, perceived value. That's a Barney move. I love you, you love me. I'm going to give you this for free. No, 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 no. Nothing is free. There's always a quantitative analysis. What is it going to cost, or what am I buying? What am I selling? So when we see free, we want to do a quantitative analysis. We really want to look in and see, what does it actually cost? Where are the margins made, and how can I take advantage of that? The same thing about discounting. Now, we know that people bound emotion for logical reasons. I always look for discounts, not because I want the discount, because I know that that thing's not selling. Who would ever discount something that sells immediately at a huge profit? Right? Why would you discount that? I used to tell people in my first book, Connected to Goodness, which, by the way, I will send to everyone for free. All you got to do is reach out to me, david@dmeltzer.com, or join my text community, 949-298-2905. Request my books. I'll give it free. I'll give you free guides to buy, sell, and buy low and sell high. Just email me, text me. It's all marked below. Make sure you're putting your Q&A in here, by the way, for me to answer as well. But, literally in my book, I talked about the classic example of discounting. I wanted to have a store on Fifth Avenue, and in the sign of the store would say 90% off. And I would go to around the world as I travel and speak, and I'd buy things that nobody had seen before, like bracelets and things like this. And I'd say, this bracelet is $10,000. It's from India. It's $10,000. But I'm going to discount it 90%. All the way down to just $1,000. Well, that's a Barney deal, right? Because I'm buying that bracelet for $3 in India, creating a perceived value of $10,000 and discounting $9,000 off. Why? Because I've learned the lesson from having my wife and my sister and my girls. I saved $4,000 on this dress. No, you didn't. You spent $1,000, and the dress was probably worth $200, and they made $800 instead of making $80. This is what people do. So when you see discount and you see free, raise up the non-Barney antennae, right? Okay, where's the quantitative value? Because I do not want and know I can now take advantage knowing that if it's discounted, then it needs to be sold. I now can utilize that. Time is on your side. If you're abundant, you're always willing to walk away. You're always willing to find another buyer. You're always willing to stick to your bottom line, whether a buyer or a seller. Know what that is. Take out your emotion. Take inventory of your values every day. Know your timing and your risk assessment in everything you do. Make sure that you are not a tube. Live your life. Create margins in everything that you do, and you, in any time, can create the margins of millionaires and make more money, help more people, and have more fun. All right. Thank you, everyone. We will send you, like I said, my book for free, david@dmeltzer.com. or 949-298-2905. Exercises, how to buy low and sell high. Those are free. Guides are free. All you got to do is reach out to me. I will send them your way. I will look forward to that. Let's answer some questions right now. We got a whole bunch of those just waiting for us. Number one, what are your thoughts on flipping as a full-time profession? Two things. One, if you make enough money flipping and you actually like to do it full-time, then I love the idea. If you don't make enough money flipping and you don't love to do it full-time, then it's a great thing to do part-time. It's a great thing to learn to love, to find the light, the love, and the lessons in it, to practice, to get mentorship, to be more interested than interesting. The things that I determine to focus in on are the things that I enjoy the most, that make the most money. Activity I get paid for, activity I don't get paid for. I'm trying always to maximize that when I'm a student in my calendar, when I'm paying attention and intention to what I want. What are your thoughts on day trading as a full-time profession? Well, the multi-variables that are related in day trading, number one, you got to institute the cookie jar philosophy. So you can't hold, you got to be able to walk away with those losses, trade over to something else. But there's so many variables. What bothers me about day trading is that you're putting time on a stock, and stocks by themselves have so many multi-variables. They're difficult even if you own the company to determine what the value is going to be or will be. There's so many, because guess why? Stocks are always determinative on the future. And there's one thing I've learned about the future, whether it's a pandemic or not, it's uncertain. I always tell people, if there's anyone out there, we got thousands and thousands of people registering for this, thousands of people are going to watch it. So if any of those thousands and thousands of people can tell me the future, please call me, because I guarantee that we can make billions together with a B if you know the future. But as far as I know, I don't, and I don't like to put time as a constraint on the future. So I don't do things that have multi-variables with the relational independence that exists within the context of stock investing, let alone day stock investing. So I'm not a big fan, because I subscribe to a theory that I don't know what I don't know. And the more that I pretend that I understand the pieces of the whole, the more I get into trouble. And I believe that day traders pretend like they know the pieces of the whole better than anyone. And I don't want to end up looking like a hole or a tube. So I stay away from it. But if you love day trading, and I could be wrong about my variable analysis of it and my emotional detachment from it, and if you somehow have certainty of the future and certainty of the trades that you make, why not? Right? It's about you, your time, your values, your timing, and your risk assessment, not mine. Don't vote for what Dave Meltzer wants for you. Don't vote for what you don't want in your life. So if what you want is that, then do it and use the power of manifestation to get it, because it will come into you rapidly and accurately. How can you protect yourself against down markets? Well, one, cookie jar philosophy, right? You can have investments that allow to be protected or guaranteed. So for example, I utilize annuities, IULs. Marshall Falk's a partner of mine in one of my businesses. So I'll invest money that no matter what the market does, if it tanks, I get a 2% return. And if it goes up, I even get to benefit some of the upside, a certain percent of the upside. And why do I do that? Well, for me, my focus is always on how much and how fast can I double the amount of money I make. I don't worry about the actual money that I have made. My goal about the money that I have made is to allow it to come through me with appreciation for others, according to what? My time, value, timing, and risk assessment. And according to those at 52 years old, after all the dummy tax that I paid, I love not having to pay attention to any of the markets, knowing that every year I'm focusing on doubling the amount of money I can as fast as I can and making 2% on what I've made and haven't given away to others. Because of ultimately, my main goal is to compound the interest of what I have, to aggregate the value of what I have and give it all away with my appreciation. One, gratitude, and two, my values added to it. And that's exactly why I respect Warren Buffett. That's what he was able to do when even in he was my age, people were giving him a bunch of slack, laughing at him, scoffing at him, making fun of him. And he knew that every dollar he saved today, compounded and aggregated, would be thousands of dollars in the future. And although other people thought he was scarce, he ended up being the most abundant of all the wise men that I know, giving away everything that he has. Not only giving away everything that he has, but also inspiring other billionaires to give everything away that they have as well. Are there any things that are difficult to buy low and sell high? Yeah, things that you cannot determine or reverse engineer, right? If you can't determine the value, things that have perceived value or subjective value are very difficult to buy low and sell high. And so anything that's perspective or perceived in its value is more difficult to buy low and sell high, or sell high and buy low, whichever way you want to put it. Those are difficult. The easiest things are these examples that I gave you: rental properties, houses, cars, garage sales, items that you can reverse engineer and be as close to certain as possible that the market exists, the timing exists, and no matter what happens in the future, uh, there's very little downside because of the speed in which it sells, right? If something is historically something that sells within a day, you have limited the risk of time being a factor of the situation changing. If it takes 3 years to sell something, we have no clue what's going to happen in 3 years. But very rarely do things change within an instant in a market like that. There's usually a time gap within the context. So that's where time, value, risk assessment, and timing are so important in what you do. Um, what is the most useful lesson you have learned in the last 90 days? The most useful lesson I've learned in the last 90 days. Um, wow, so many lessons that I've learned. Uh, you know, the mind is a mess, right? I talk about relying on our senses and our memories, that the more that we can practice quieting and get our minds out of the way and really tap into our frequencies, our unconscious competencies, our true selves, our potential, the better off we are. And we do that through gratitude, finding the light, the love, and the lessons, forgiveness for all the mistakes, the setups that we have in our lives, accountability, understanding what did I do to attract this to my life and what am I supposed to learn from it, and finally inspiration. So that was to me the biggest What if I suck at sales? Well, there's two kinds of salespeople. There's the Eagles, right? The Eagles that naturally can sell ice to Eskimos, can go ahead and have an emotional intelligence in order to understand time, risk tolerance, assessment, value, etc. And then there's people that I call journey people. And journey people, like anybody else, just like golf, they start swinging the club and they get lessons and they keep practicing. 2 minutes a day, worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. 5 minutes a day, worth more than 5 hours on a Saturday. 10 minutes a day, worth more than 10 on a Saturday. And they're able to practice and get better and better. And even though they feel as if their potential, they suck, pretty soon they get good and then they get better and end up great. They may not ever be an Eagle. They may not ever be a Zig Ziglar or a Dennis Waitley, or Tony Robbins, but they get good and they consistently create margins by learning how pragmatically, systematically, through consistent behavior, how to buy low and sell high. Anyone can do it. You can take the suck that you suck at whatever it is, and you can take a weakness and move it to a different place and it becomes a strength. And if you practice it, that allows you to move that weakness into a bigger and better place, into a stronger position for what you feel you suck at. You take the suck, which is equivalent in everyone's life. Everyone has a certain percentage of suck. No matter if you're famous, celebrity, athlete, entertainer, rich, billionaire, millionaire, entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. You got the same percentage of suck and of weakness as anybody else. The difference is you've been able to find the light, the love, and the lessons in the suck and move that suck into a place where it's good, into a perception of good, happy thoughts, higher potential, higher frequency. You've mentioned that we all have margins of millionaires soon. What are some of the markets you expect to have high returns? So there's three areas to look at. One is areas where things are going well. And what you want to do is align your capabilities, your skills, your knowledge of what and who, and your desire to must be what you can be. See how it's aligned with, synergistic to, or supplementary with what's doing well now. I actually use the stock market for that. I find the 50 stocks that are doing the best over the last 12 weeks, and I see it and align my capabilities with those companies or industries to see how I can maximize the millionaire margins. Then secondly, I look at what's stable right now. I go ahead and look at a 12-month, a 6-month in the stock market, and I see once again how my capabilities are synergistic or supplementary to what's completely stable. And then, of course, I look at the synergistic and supplementary capabilities that I have to what I feel is beaten up, oversold. And I determine through my own experience and knowledge and capabilities, whether synergistic or supplementary, to where I feel that emotions have caused something to be oversold. Therefore, I buy into that industry with my capability and I get a maximized return out of that. If you look at all three of those areas where things are doing well, where things are stable, where things are oversold, you will maximize your margins. You will create the margins of millionaires at all times, especially when there's great change, because with great change comes great opportunity. Remember, uncertainty always exists. If uncertainty does not exist for you, please reach out to me, david@dmeltzer.com, because if you know the future, we can make billions. I guarantee it. That's a promise. What are some negotiating tips on car buying? Is that really a good way to improve my credit? Those are two completely separate things, right? Don't use an industry or an item to improve your credit. Understand credit. Be more interesting than interested. Go find someone. There's so many credit experts that can go through, and there's also like CreditWise, all types of services where you can have simulators to see what activity increases or decreases your credit score, no matter what that is. It's not a matter of what you're buying, a car, a house, a boat. It doesn't matter what you're buying. It's the facilitation of numbers, of risk assessment. It's understanding how much debt to how much cash I have and what are my habits and disciplines and how are those displayed and illustrated within the context of the credit reporting agencies. And there's tons of experts and information out there that you can be more interested than interesting. So the answer is buying a car, a great way to increase your credit. It could improve your credit immensely, or it could ruin your credit. Determined upon what your actual position in cash is, how much credit you have, what you're buying and selling, and so payment habits are. So don't worry about what you're buying. Worry about getting the information, the proper information, the true information on how best to improve your credit. Tons of information out there that you can use. Do you feel buying silver and gold is wise? A silver coin is currently $37, but it's worth 28. What would be your advice? I would sell it for 37 and buy them for 28. The $9 margin. My advice is to study history, because if you study history, you'll understand human nature and the emotion of the time value, risk assessment, and timing of gold and silver and different commodities like that. Historical analysis of those determined upon political activities, socioeconomic activities, all types of things can be utilized as independent and dependent variables on when to buy and sell different commodities. But if you have a buyer at 37 and it's worth 28, then go buy someone else's at 28 and sell it for 37. But I would study history. Always study history, because it will teach you human nature. If you know human nature and have the emotional intelligence combined with the selling and buying and risk assessment and value, all of those different things involved in timing, you will have a statistical advantage of buying low and selling high. How do you find the motivation to continue to produce content? Well, first of all, I'm not going to do anything that I can't learn to love to do. And so my mission in life is to empower others to be happy. I'm looking for 1,000 people in my lifetime to empower 1,000 people, to empower 1,000 people. 1,000 times 1,000 is a million times 1,000 is a billion. So I take inventory of my values every single day and align it with my mission. And I know one thing, that because of technology, because of platforms, because of the ability to capture what I do, to modify it appropriately with all the different platforms that exist, and amplify it in an appropriate way, and perpetuate it for legacy reasons, for generations and generations to come, where it can be remodified, re-amplified, that putting out that content is my best, most statistically efficient way of empowering over 1 billion people in my lifetime to be happy, to create a collective consciousness that will change the world from a world of not enough, where people are victims, where everything happens to them, to move it into a world of just enough, where they're capable of buying what they need, hopefully not to impress people that they don't like, hopefully not things that you don't need, but more importantly, to move them an entire eighth of the world, over 1 billion people, to be happy through an unbelievable abundance. Right? We're talking about the importance of abundance in buying and selling. Well, the greatest importance of abundance is the belief that there's more than enough of everything for everyone. That's why abundant thinkers never are at the bottom or the top. They're always creating the margins of millionaires, because they have the confidence there's always someone else, that everything happens at the right way at the perfect time, that there's always more than enough. So they're never scarce and scared. They're never looking, I gotta sell, I gotta buy. They never allow that to happen. It's always for the best and greatest good and the greatest interest, in that context of creating a collective consciousness of happiness. Is Airbnb a good company to use to make profit versus actual monthly rentals? Perfect example of reverse engineering. So take an area in which you want to sell or buy a rental, and go ahead and experience for yourself. Look for an expert in the area. Someone's been there 30 or 40 years selling monthly rentals. Look for someone that's an expert in Airbnb, and see exactly how much it would cost in order to do that, to rent it, how quickly it would rent, what are the historical numbers on it, as the customer, not as the owner. And then you'll know what it's going to be like to be an owner. You'll be able to go ahead and buy a place on payments, not on price. You'll be able to figure out where the margins of millionaires are. You'll be able to determine if Airbnb or VRBO or monthly rental is better than one or the other, determined upon where it is and the expertise of the 3 mentors that you get that have been doing this 30 or 40 years to help educate you on the pitfalls and the ups and the downs, and what independent and dependent variables change the face of where you are today, allowing you to then do what? A value in time, a risk and time assessment, tolerance assessment, to maximize your margins. These are all pragmatic ways of reverse engineering, using all the rules that we talked about earlier, understanding where emotions take their place, time, value, timing, risk assessment, inventory of your values, knowing your bottom line, abundance versus scarcity, how time and buyers all have an abundant attitude in order to effectuate what we want. How can you save a relationship or contact if the plan or meeting did not go as expected? Well, first of all, you have to manage and develop your relationships. I create go no go plans in this context where if I have a plan or a meeting, I dictate and allow and educate how exactly we're going to move forward step by step, allowing me to number one, get alignment, two, to take action, but most importantly, it allows others to prepare for adjustments. If you don't know what a go no go plan is or managing and developing a vision, it's all included in my book. You're welcome to get it for free, david@dmeltzer.com, or text me 949-298-2905, or the exercise on that, managing and develop. Get a go no go plan from me because it will allow you to get the AAA strategy of alignment, action, and adjustment into place, statistically allowing you to live life as it was dictated to us with uncertainty. Meaning it's already managing the expectations that if we want to make God laugh, come up with a well-developed plan. So by using a go no go plan, we statistically allow people to take baby steps through the process, allowing them not only to take action accordingly and aligned with what we're doing, but more importantly, to prepare them for adjustment, allowing us both to maximize the opportunity according to the circumstances that exist today. Because guess what? Things change. What are your thoughts on the opportunity to start a business relationship with a business partnership, giving 100% because they believe in the product, but need your support and approval to move forward in spreading the magic of your inspirational slogans? Well, I mean, in any partnership, you have to quantify the value given and receiving. And so, understanding and aligning your personal experiential giving and receiving values within the context of the business relationship to make sure each party subjectively and quantitatively are happy with the agreement, and allowing them to move forward within the management of the expectations with a plan. So I think using the 5 to thrive, number one, when you stimulate interest, transition interest, and share that vision, most importantly, managing and developing it so that you have equal quantifiable and subjective value that is agreed upon in writing. Remember, we always put our agreements in writing. Why? Because you want to remember what you promised to do, not because you don't trust the other party, but you want to remember what you promised to do, because our messy minds have very weak senses. We don't see, smell, hear, taste things appropriately, and our memories are even worse, so we can't even remember how we did it or what we did. So don't save money. Should we invest, or how do I save to start a business? Not what I'm saying. So as always, one of the greatest lessons, it's not what I say, it's what you hear. And so I never told anyone not to save money. In fact, I say extract your emotions from the downflow of the money coming through you. So for me, a certain percentage of every dollar, regardless of whether I make $1 or $1 billion, a certain percentage will come through me as a tithing towards my charitable aspects. Certain percentage will go to my wife, my kids, my mom, my siblings, my local community, my state, my country, and the world. And therefore, I never have to have a predetermined emotion. It's always just math. Okay, money in. So it allows me, once again, just to focus on bringing the money in, not what I'm doing with the money. It's already predetermined. And I might have a little slush fund, a 10% lottery ticket fund, or whatever it is, but it's always predetermined. And it's predetermined for me the year. And then I may make adjustments because I take daily inventory of my values in case I want to change the percentages. But rarely do I do that. I stick to what I, at the beginning of the year, determined to be what is aligned with my values, and then utilizing the inventory of my values, making sure I'm staying aligned. Are there certain products and technology that we should be watching to invest in? Certain products and technology that we should be watching to invest in? Yeah, ones that are supplementary and synergistic to the capabilities that you have, that are aligned with the timing and risk tolerance that you have, that are aligned with the inventory of values that you have. So, for example, if I was looking at certain products I may not know anything about, right? I would either have to go find an expert that's been doing it 30, 40 years to tell me and evaluate it according to my capabilities, risk assessment and time, or I would move to something that I do know about, like sports and technologies of mass gatherings and data and other things that I've worked for years in, search engines and other stuff. Uh, what sites? Google, right? When people ask me what sites, I don't know all the sites. So go to Google, be more interested than interesting, and a whole bunch of sites will come up according to whatever you're talking about: houses, cars, cookie jars, whatever it may be. Be more interested than interesting, right? I always used to joke around and have a cut and paste email. There's something called Google, and it's a wonderful thing because it gives you access to information, a whole variety of information. And the better you search, the better the results. Get stable data, recommend being more interested than interesting. Find those cars. Do you find the cars? Oh, he's saying, what sites do you find the cars on? Google, right? You can Google an actual car and it brings up all the sites that has that car. So I don't want to lead you to one site or another. Use them all. Find out what car sells the fastest and how much it costs, and then reverse engineer it. Use the most data you can, because different cars may be selling better on different sites, and you get an aggregate of the sum by using an aggregate search engine like Google. Can you recommend some stock forum web due to the recent tech stock sell-off? Once again, you got to do your own work on finding the best places. Because if I tell you one, it may only be particular. I do not have the capacity. I got a messy mind, a weak senses, and a weak memory. So I'm going to stay away from giving you any advice on finding these types of things other than Googling it and being more interested than interesting. Happy Friday, David. I've been practicing reverse engineering my deals. Are there any business models that secure a buyer before purchasing an asset? Tons, tons. So you need to find those, right? Like, and the best place to find them is online and going and looking to see what's selling. The way that I found home gym equipment is I was looking for home gym equipment and I realized I couldn't find any, and they were selling immediately for like 3, 4, 5 times retail. So go search and find them. Search and see what's for sale and how fast it's selling, because speed is in which gives you security and limits the statistical inefficiency of time of the uncertainty of the future. The longer the future holds, the more things that can happen. The shorter the time, the less things that can happen. Very simple. Is there a worksheet or toolkit for flip cars or buy low and sell high? Yes. If you want the worksheet or exercise from me, then go ahead, email me, david@dmeltzer.com, or join my text community. You get all the exercises, guides, and my books for free. 949-298-2905. Do you believe insurance reviews and offerings are a value add in real estate market? Would someone who offers holistic review be beneficial to those brokers? Well, determined upon the expertise of the area, the price range, the type, all the different variables that you may be interested, the key component is find someone who has and is aligned with what situational knowledge you want. If you can find an expert of someone who sits in the position that you want to be in, then that expert, whether they're holistic or not, or whatever approach they take, you will find them. But find someone in the situation that you want to be in and utilize them and ask those critical questions. Can you please let me know when it's oversold? Or can you please let me know when it's overbought? So those are really good ways. Do I need to clean up my DMV record? And do I need a dealer's license to sell cars online? Do I buy locally? Well, it depends on what state you're in. Different states will allow you to do 3, 5, unlimited. So I don't know what the DMV requires in each of your state. But once again, go ahead and ask. The DMV has a website with FAQs on it. You can go ahead and take the time to learn how best. And guess what? When you do that, you're living in the extra mile. You're doing things that most people don't do. That's where the subtleties of success and awareness come about. That's where you start figuring out, oh, nobody really knows you can do this. I can make more margins here. Margins of millionaires, ones that changed my life. Because very few people know that in this state, you can do it 10 times. And in this state, you can do it 1 time. And in this state, you don't have to, do this. I've learned lessons all the time, like a salvage title, for example. You can take a salvage title in California, registered in Montana, and it doesn't come up as a salvage title anymore. There's a margins of millionaires that can be made. There's all types of things that you can do, determined upon your values, your timing, risk assessment, etc. What are your thoughts on blue ocean strategy pursuits? Love blue ocean strategy. Love the book Blue Ocean Strategy. Love anything that indicates an impetus on being more interested than interesting, of not worrying about what surrounds you, but worrying about what surrounds you. That's what Blue Ocean Strategy is about. Understanding where those margins of millionaires are, where the subtleties of success are, where situation, knowledge, experience, and dummy tax can provide you the value, the return on investment that you made by making the mistake. What good is a mistake if you don't use the lessons in order to increase and expand and grow, to accelerate and to make money from? That's how you turn a setback into a setup, by making money off of the dummy tax, by learning and making more because you made the mistakes and you were living in the learning zone, expanding and growing and accelerating, planting seeds under trees that you may not even ever sit under, but learning and growing and understanding pain is not a stop sign, not telling you you're done. It's just an indicator, a turn signal telling you got something better. As long as you learn the lesson, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial pain is just telling you got a lesson to learn. Let's move in a better direction, to a better place to make your situation better. Do you bring the buy low, sell high mindset to making large business deals, acquisitions, mergers, and et cetera? Absolutely. The difference is there's multiple variables, and quantitative value is so important. Understanding how, and obviously timing is a big issue with risk assessment, but there's a lot of protective measures that are taken into place, kind of like the hedging that I utilize in the savings plan that I have with annuities and IUL, to make sure that I'm preparing myself and understanding to mitigate risk, understanding my timing and risk assessment, all absolutely utilized every single day in multi-billion-dollar deals, acquisitions, mergers, etc. How do I file a patent? I started my business already, but this is my last step before I can market. I have a referral for you, multiple referrals. I always like to give 3. So just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. Join my text community if you like that better. If you're a text person, 949-298-2905. Happy to give you referrals for where to file a patent and how much it should cost, to give you the most economical way aligned with what your objectives are. All right. Last question here on Buy Low, Sell High, the Margins of Millionaires. Remember, if you want the exercises or guides, if you want my book, all you got to do is reach out. David@dmeltzer.com, 949-298-2905. Next week's going to be all Q&A. So if I didn't get to your question, join me live on Office Hours, join me live on Instagram Live, join me on my TV show, the 2-minute drill, whatever you want. But next week is all BYOQ. Bring your questions. I'll bring the answers. Hopefully they're valuable. Hopefully if you missed this, send it to your friends, the replay, always on the Playbook on Mondays. You can get all the answers that hopefully have value for you. If not, you'll know what not to do. If you don't like Dave Meltzer and his answers, then do the opposite. Maybe you'll make more money. That's one strategy that you definitely could do. Last question. Why don't you like to invest in stocks? What are the best places to invest in your opinion? Well, number one, I personally don't want to waste my time, emotion, and energy because there's too many variables that I can't control in stocks. So I focus it on making the money, doubling the money, and allowing my money to sit in a secure position, a savings, Maria, savings in a certain percentage. That's fine with me because I like to do that. But other people may not. Where do you want to invest? Where your values are, where your expertise or confined expertise is, with your timing and your risk assessment. You need to take inventory of your values, of who you know and what you know, your capabilities, of your skills, your knowledge and desire when investing. But you want to make sure that your emotions are taken out of the equation so that you can reverse engineer quantitatively when to buy, what that bottom line is, and when to sell, what that bottom line is, and not be afraid to walk away with an abundant attitude that there's more than enough buyers, more than enough sellers, more than enough of everything for everyone. I want to thank everybody. Remember, free guide, book, exercises, david@dmeltzer.com. Join me every Friday, 11 a.m. for training. BYOQ, bring your own questions, is next Friday. Please, most importantly, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. It's always a